G'day, I'm Paul. This is the GWM Cannon Alpha plug-in hybrid, and today we're going to do some tow testing. We're going to test this at its GVM, and then we're going to hook it up to our trailer dyne, the ultimate torture test for a plug-in hybrid, as we found out with the BYD Shark. We're doing 74 kilometres an hour. It's not going any faster. We're basically running the internal combustion engine as hard as we can. Battery is virtually empty there, as you can see. So how's this going to work? Well, we've got 3,500 kilos worth of trailer. We've got payload in the back of this. This is at GVM. I'm going to hop in now. We're going to do our Hill Road, and then we're going to head over to the Bowl and hook up the trailer dyne. Now, before we get started, I just thought I'd call this situation out. So this car, unfortunately, doesn't really have a factory solution for the tow bar. With the Shark, for example, or the Ranger, they've actually integrated it quite nicely. It's tucked in nicely, it's inoffensive, and it works. This, on the other hand, looks like an aftermarket job, because that's basically what it is. The end result of that is the whole thing sits quite low, so you're getting issues there with your departure angle if you're doing any off-road driving. And if you're towing like this with 350 kilos on the downball, you're pushing this even closer to the ground, and I would have concerns about that distance there hitting a bump at highway speeds on the road. It's just something to sort of look out for. Hopefully they come up with a neater solution, but for the purpose of today, this is a pre-production car, and they've fitted this tow bar for us so that we can actually do the tow testing. We're going to get away with this in our closed environment here, but if I was actually towing with this out on the road, I'd want to have a better, more elegant solution than this that was a little higher off the ground. Righto, so we've just hit the road. I kind of touched on this before, but we're running this at GVM, which means we're towing 3.5 tons on the rear. We have around 350 kilos of downball weight, and then we've made up for the balance of the payload with bags in the back here that they used to use for load simulation when this was running as a proving ground. So let's see how this goes. So battery capacity is about 70%. We've got the trailer hooked up with a wireless brake controller. Comes up saying that it's in towing mode, so it switches off a lot of the safety functions, but interestingly enough, it does the same thing that the Shark does, where cruise control doesn't work, which is just beyond me. I mean, people need to be able to use cruise control when they're driving their vehicles with their trailer, so it's a real weird one. So hopefully that is something they can fix as part of a software update. It's in hybrid electric at the moment. Let me flick it over to electric just to see how that fares. Okay, so it's not letting me select electric mode while we're towing, which is interesting. So all right, we'll crack on with hybrid mode and see how we go. Now, one of the big bonuses here, in addition to regen braking, I also have paddle shifters here on the steering wheel, so I can actually go back through the gears to do some engine braking, and that gives us just a little bit more headroom there in terms of slowing the vehicle down. That was the issue I had with the Shark, that if you get to the point where you run out of regen, you're basically having to ride the brakes, and you could end up cooking them if you don't watch your P's and Q's. So it was actually doing a pretty decent job there in terms of engine braking. Now I'm going to punch it out of here just to see how this feels. Nice. Got a fair bit of mumbo. So 750 Newton meters of torque when we are fully loaded like this, I reckon is pretty impressive stuff. You do get a lot of engine noise though, so that is a point of difference there with the Shark, where that was basically pretty quiet. This is sort of making a fair old racket, even with about 70% of battery in there. It is still running the internal combustion engine. But it is holding gears really nicely, so I can feel that it's basically picked a towing mode for the transmission, which means that you are able to have better responsiveness to the throttle, and you're not waiting for it to kick down through gears constantly. Alrighty, here comes the fun bit. Our 15% grade. This is a very steep hill, and basically once I line this up, I'm just going to kick the throttle down and we'll see how it goes in terms of pulling this much mass up here. Here we go. Nice. Getting along quite nicely there without any dramas at all. I mean, it is just crazy to think that we're towing with such a big load here. This feels far more confident and punchy than something like a V6 diesel. So, yeah, which I wasn't expecting. You know, for such a heavy vehicle with this fairly complex drivetrain, it actually gets along and moves really nicely. One other thing I'll mention here as well is the ride. It's actually really good. The trailer isn't leading the vehicle at all, and I don't know, I just feel that the added mass that you have here just in the base platform before you start sort of adding weight with the trailer helps it just sit a bit better on the road. If you think about some dual cab utes that weigh around that 2-ton mark and you've got a 3.5-ton trailer, it is causing that rear to sort of move around a bit. You're getting that porpoising over bumps. So I think it's a good little middle ground there they've got here in terms of the mass. It is a big mass, almost 3 tons, and well over 3 tons once you actually add downbore weight and payload to the vehicle as well. So, oh, there you go. At lower speeds there, it's actually switched into EV mode, which is pretty cool. All right, time for our big descent and then the bumps down the bottom. Okay, big long descent here. So right now I'm just using as much of the the regen braking as I can. You can see there, energy recovered 50%, and as I get onto the throttle, it rolls out, but then you can see it jumping back up to about the 60-50% mark as it tries to recover energy with the trailer on the back. But it is dropping away, which is what the Shark did as well, as it runs out of the ability to capture that regen. Right, here comes the bumpy bits. This is probably the bit I'm most concerned about because of how low that trailer is. So let's just see. It's actually surprisingly good. Yeah, that is really impressive. I think they've done such a good job with this on the towing front. It is genuinely surprising that there is so much mass on the back, but you just don't really notice it from behind the wheel here. So yeah, pretty impressed with that. Like I said, only real concern I have is how low the tow bar sits. That is going to be an issue until they actually properly integrate that, and then if you hit a big bump, I can just see that becoming a little bit of a problem. So just something to keep an eye on. Alrighty, let's head to the bowl and let's test the trailer dyne and see what happens once we start putting some proper load on this. Okay, so we are on the bowl with our trailer dyne. It's a pretty cool piece of equipment. It basically simulates, pretend it's an anchor, and using this computer here, I can change the weight of that anchor so that we can simulate a trailer load on the vehicle going up a hill. If you do want a more sort of detailed explanation, here is one that I gave earlier when we did one of our big mega tests. What exactly is a trailer dyno? Well, that is a very good question. It may look just like a normal box trailer here, but it is actually a pretty complex piece of machinery with a lot of electrical components as well that allow us to do some more dynamic testing with the ute. So let me show you what it looks like on the inside. Think of this trailer as an anchor. We hook this up to the car. It weighs 1,600 kilos before we even touch any of the controls. What we're then able to do with the controls is vary the weight of the anchor that's behind the vehicle, and that allows us to simulate different loads. In this particular setup here, you can see there's a retarder, there's also a differential, and we're able to then communicate with this using a computer inside the car and vary the load from no load, which is just towing a 1,600 kilo trailer, all the way through to 10 kilonewtons of load. And to put something like that into context, it would be like having a fully loaded dual cab ute going up the steepest hill you can find, and it's constantly pulling it back. So for us, we're going to dial back the load to 3 kilonewtons in an automatic load setting, and that's going to simulate a steep incline that some of these utes are going to fail to overcome. The automatic load setting allows the dyne to temporarily limit load when the vehicle changes gears to gradually apply it again. So it's going to simulate what you will experience driving up a big hill. So the way this is going to work, we're going to accelerate through to 100 kilometers an hour so I can log our 0 to 100 time. Some cars don't have enough power to get to 100 k's an hour with 3 kilonewtons worth of load on. So we'll also measure 0 to 90 so you can have a bit of a comparison to other vehicles in the segment. Then what I'm going to do is 2 laps of the bowl with the trailer load on so that we can compare fuel economy of this vehicle unladen with it laden. Again, so you can do a comparison between this and other cars in the segment when it comes to fuel economy as well. Then the nasty stuff is going to happen. We're going to replicate the edge case test that we did with the BYD Shark, where we basically drain the battery and see whether the vehicle can cater for the load of the trailer when there is no more battery capacity left. And just as a note, we're kicking off now with 75% worth of battery charge. Okie dokie, so we'll pop this into sport mode. Pop that into drive. That's all set up. We'll set our load. Okay. Here we go. Nice and strong off the line there. All right, 80, 90, will it hit 100? Boom, yes it does, very nice. All right, let's do our 2 economy laps. Okay, let's have a look at these results. So, in terms of acceleration though, 0 to 90, 9.43 seconds, which is really good. That's really impressive. So the acceleration time outperformed the Shark as well. 0 to 100, 11.41 seconds. Yeah, that is really impressive. So in terms of fuel economy, unladen, it consumed a combined 6.3 litres per 100 kilometres. Laden, it consumed around 22 litres per 100 kilometres. So that's an increase of around 250%. But if you compare that to the Shark, because it was having to work so hard, it consumed 6.2 litres per 100 Ks unladen, but 30 litres per 100 Ks on the combined cycle when it was laden, which is an increase of almost 400%. Now we're going to do our edge case. We're going to drain the battery. So we'll give that a shot now and see how it goes, run it all the way down to its failure mode, and then just see how it performs towing a 3 kilonewton load. We're down to 19%. This is our edge case, right? So it's kind of like you've been camping, you've used all the energy thanks to vehicle to load, and immediately out of your camping site, you've got a big drive coming with a long hill. I want to see how this performs when the battery is expired. So getting up to 100 Ks now, we're going to sit it here until the battery basically drains, and we'll see what happens. Okay, down to 15%. So we're getting close now to the expiry range of the battery. It's worth noting with plug-in hybrids, they actually never get down below something like 10% because you don't want to be in a position where you don't have the explosive energy for your electric motor. But I'm curious to see now, we're down to 14%, what happens when it does actually run out of usable capacity. Okay, so I've done about 20 kilometers of driving now and cannot get the battery to go below 11%. We're basically at this vehicle's expired state. And all that happens is if I wanted to go quicker, I put a bit more throttle in, it drops down a gear and it's able to use the engine's peak power and torque band to just get it moving. So yeah, it appears here that you just can't get this to fail. So we'll pull over and have a quick look at the results. Okay, so we're in. I'm pretty amazed by this. I had to drive about 20 kilometers on the bowl here to get it to basically its expiry state, which is 11%. At 11%, I'm able to maintain 100 Ks an hour. If it does dip at all, I apply more throttle, it kicks back a gear. And this is the big advantage you have with this type of plug-in hybrid drivetrain. Here you've got gearing, so it means that you can just kick down a gear and you'll be back in your peak torque or power band, even without the hybrid assistance. So they've done a really good job with this. This is the king of plug-in hybrid vehicles for towing. It does 3.5 tons. You cannot falter it even with the 3 kilonewton load on board, even when the battery is expired. Like, you go to the lengths of expiring the battery, which took forever, but it still tows really confidently. So yeah, really impressed with this. And I think that if you are looking at a plug-in hybrid dual cab ute for towing specifically, this is the one I'd be going for. The Shark has not only a lower towing capacity, but also can't cut it when the battery expires. So they have rolled out some fixes to the Shark, but it's still not enough to get it to the point where it will just keep going. This will just keep going. Super impressed with this. So let me know what you reckon in the comments section below. We've done some towing on the Hill Road at GWM and now towing here at 3 kilonewtons, and yeah, pretty damn impressed with it. Let me know what you reckon. If you did enjoy the video, please make sure you like it and you share it with your mates. If you do want to see our full single car review of this, there is a link in the description below, and we're going to do a comparison with the Shark too to give you a better idea of how they stack up against each other. But until next time, take it easy.